My girlfriend said I was controlling for questioning her trip with her ex, so I booked the same trip with my ex. I need some perspective here because my girlfriend Qley is telling me I'm being toxic and controlling, but I honestly think I'm just applying her own logic back to our relationship. Some context. Qley is a lifestyle influencer with around 40K followers. She does a lot of self-empowerment and independent woman content, which is cool. I've always supported her career. We've been together for 2 years, living together for 8 months. Generally solid relationship, or so I thought. 3 nights ago, Qley casually mentioned over dinner, "Hey babe, don't freak out or anything, but I'm going to Cancun next month with Liam and a few friends. Liam has hotel points that are about to expire, so it's basically free." I put down my fork. "Liam, your ex-boyfriend Liam." "Yeah, but we're just friends now. You trust me, right?" Now, for context, Liam is a travel photographer. They dated for about a year before we got together, and while Qley insists they're just friends, they still talk fairly regularly. I've always been cool with it because I trust her. But going on a vacation together felt like crossing a line, so I said exactly that. "I trust you, but I think going on a trip with your ex crosses a boundary of respect in our relationship." She immediately got defensive. "Are you seriously trying to control who I travel with? You don't trust me. I don't need anyone's permission to live my life, Ryan." "I'm not giving you permission or forbidding anything," I said. "I'm just telling you how I feel about it. This is exactly the toxic masculinity I talk about on my channel. You're threatened by my independence." I didn't raise my voice, just said, "If that's how you see it, I can't change your mind. But yes, I'm uncomfortable with this." She stormed off to the bedroom. I figured we'd talk about it in the morning when emotions cooled down. Well, the next day while I was at work, she posted a photo on Instagram, one of those looking out the window pensively shots. The caption read, "My boyfriend thinks I need his permission to travel. Controlling behavior disguised as boundaries. Ladies, don't let anyone cage your freedom." I got texts from 3 different friends asking if we were okay. When I checked the post, it had hundreds of comments. "Drop him. He's so insecure. You deserve better, queen." The whole 9 yards. I didn't comment on her post or text her about it. When she got home that evening, she was actually in a good mood, like nothing had happened. I simply said, "Hey, I saw your post. Sounds like you're really excited about the trip." She looked a bit surprised I wasn't mad, but said, "Yeah, I am. I'm glad you're being mature about it." That night, after thinking it through, I made a decision. The next morning over coffee, I said, "You know, Qley, I think you're right." She looked up surprised. "About what?" "About freedom and trust. Everyone has the right to maintain friendships with their exes if they want, and if we truly trust each other, these things shouldn't be issues." She smiled. "Exactly. I'm so glad you see it that way now." "Yeah," I continued. "Which is why I booked a trip to Cancun next month too, with Nora." The smile vanished. "Nora, your ex?" "Yeah, we've stayed friends since we broke up, you know that. She just got some vacation time approved, and when I mentioned the Cancun thing, she said she'd been wanting to go. Crazy coincidence, right? We're going the same week as you, actually." Her face went through about 5 different expressions. "You're joking." "No, I'm serious. I'm just applying the logic you laid out. We're adults who can maintain healthy friendships with our exes, right? That's completely different." "How?" Because you're doing this to me, you're trying to make a point." "I'm doing exactly what you're doing. The only difference is I told you directly instead of posting about it on social media." She stood up, nearly knocking over her coffee. "This is so petty and childish." "Is it? Or is it just fair?" We argued for another 20 minutes, but I didn't budge. I'd already booked everything. Nora and I would each have our own rooms at the same resort, everything above board and transparent. Nora had actually thought it was hilarious when I explained the situation and agreed to come along, mostly out of curiosity to see how this played out. Over the next week, Qley kept trying to get me to cancel. She called it revenge, manipulation, and emotional abuse. I just kept calmly pointing out that I was following her rules, freedom, trust, and not needing permission. Yesterday, I posted a casual Instagram story. "Sometimes you just need sun and clarity. Cancun bond." My phone blew up. Qley called me 6 times in an hour. When I finally answered, she was crying, saying I was ruining everything and humiliating her. I just said, I'm living my truth, Qley, just like you taught me. So Reddit, am I the asshole here? My friends are split. Half think I'm a genius, half think I'm being vindictive. Qley's friends are messaging me saying I'm toxic and abusive. But if what I'm doing is wrong, then what she's doing should be wrong too, right? Or am I missing something? Update 1. Okay, so a lot of you told me to update after the trip, and holy hell, do I have an update. The week leading up to the trip was tense as hell. Qley tried everything to get me to cancel. She tried guilt, you're destroying our relationship, anger, this is the most immature thing anyone's ever done to me, and even bargaining, what if I don't go either? I told her she should absolutely go on her trip. I wasn't trying to stop her from doing anything. I was just exercising the same freedom she claimed to value so much. She stopped talking to me about 3 days before departure, just complete cold shoulder. Fine by me, I had packing to do. Nora flew in from Colorado the day before we left. We met for coffee to go over the ground rules, separate rooms, no romantic anything, just 2 old friends getting some sun and watching drama unfold. Nora, by the way, has been loving this. She's a veterinarian and apparently doesn't get much excitement in her daily life, so this was like reality TV for her. I can't believe you're actually doing this, she laughed. You were always the calm, rational one. Still am, I said. This is a very calm, rational response to an irrational situation. We flew out Friday morning. Qley had left Thursday night. The resort is one of those all-inclusive places right on the beach, beautiful property, multiple pools, several restaurants. I'd picked it specifically because Qley had mentioned it by name. Nora and I checked in, went to our separate rooms to freshen up, then met at one of the poolside bars for lunch. The place was packed with spring breakers and couples. We grabbed a table with a view of the ocean and ordered some fish tacos. So what's the plan? Nora asked. Are you hoping to run into her? I mean, it's inevitable, I said. The resort's big, but not that big. I figure we'll cross paths at some point. That some point came about 2 hours later. We'd moved from the bar to the main pool area. I was in the water. Nora was on a lounge chair reading a book about dog nutrition or something, and I heard this voice behind me. Ryan. I turned around. There, standing at the edge of the pool in a bikini and cover-up, was Qley. Her face was a mixture of shock, anger, and something else I couldn't quite read. Behind her were 3 of her friends, including Liam, who looked deeply uncomfortable. Qley, hey. I kept my voice casual, friendly even. Small world. What the hell are you doing here? She wasn't even trying to keep her voice down. Same thing as you, vacation, sun, relaxation. I gestured to the pool. You picked a great resort, by the way. That's when Nora walked over, holding 2 frozen drinks. Got you a piña colada. Oh, she stopped when she saw Qley. Hi, you must be Qley. I'm Nora, Ryan's friend. The look on Qley's face could have curdled milk. Friend, right. Well, ex-girlfriend technically, Nora said cheerfully, but friend now. Ancient history and all that. You must be here with Liam. Ryan told me about him. Liam, to his credit, gave a little wave. That's me. Hey Ryan, this is unexpected. Life's full of surprises, I said, climbing out of the pool. I grabbed my towel and draped it over my shoulders. You guys have plans for dinner? We were thinking of trying that seafood place by the beach. Qley found her voice. Are you kidding me right now? What? I'm just asking if you want to get dinner. You followed me here. We're at the same resort you told me you'd be at. That's not following, that's just poor planning on your part if you wanted to avoid me. One of her friends, a woman whose Instagram I'd seen before, tugged on Qley's arm. Come on, let's just go. But Qley wasn't done. This is harassment. This is you trying to control and humiliate me. Nora, bless her, jumped in. Actually, I invited Ryan on this trip. If anyone's to blame for the timing, it's me. I had vacation days to use or lose. She smiled innocently. But hey, why not make it a group thing? We're all adults here. I could see Qley's jaw working, like she was trying to figure out what to say that wouldn't make her look like a hypocrite. Finally, she just turned and walked away, her group following. That night, Nora and I did hit up the seafood restaurant. We were halfway through dinner when we saw Qley's group get seated about 6 tables away. Don't look now, Nora said, grinning. But we have an audience. I glanced over. Qley was staring daggers at us while pretending to look at her menu. Liam looked like he wanted to be literally anywhere else. I raised my glass in a friendly toast in their general direction when I caught Qley's eye. She immediately looked away. The next morning, I woke up to a series of angry texts from Qley, sent around 2 a.m. "You're sick. This is abuse. How dare you bring her here? Everyone can see what you're doing. I can't believe I ever loved you." I didn't respond to any of them. Instead, Nora and I went snorkeling. So far, Cancun is pretty great. The weather's perfect, the food is amazing, and the entertainment value of this situation is off the charts. We have 3 more days here, and I have a feeling things are going to get even more interesting. A few of Qley's friends have actually approached me separately to say they think this whole thing is hilarious and that she's been impossible to deal with. Apparently, she's been on her phone constantly, checking to see if I'm posting anything on social media and ranting about me. Meanwhile, Nora and I are just chilling. We went to a tequila tasting yesterday. We're doing a catamaran cruise today, living our best lives, as Qley would say. I'll update again when we get back, assuming Qley doesn't actually murder me before then. Update 2. Back home now, and I need to get this all out while it's fresh. So after my last update, things got even weirder. Day 3 in Cancun, Nora and I were having breakfast at one of the resort restaurants when Liam approached our table. "Hey, can I talk to you guys for a second?" We invited him to sit. He looked uncomfortable as hell. "Look," he started, "this whole situation is ridiculous. Qley's been melting down for the past 2 days. Her friends are getting tired of her drama, and honestly, I think we need to clear the air. Would you guys consider having dinner with us tonight, all of us together?" Nora and I exchanged glances. "You think that's a good idea?" I asked. "Probably not," Liam admitted. "But I think it's a necessary one. Qley needs to face the fact that she created this situation, and maybe if we all sit down like adults, we can at least salvage the rest of the vacation." So we agreed. Dinner at the Mexican restaurant in the resort, 7 p.m., 6 of us total. Me, Nora, Qley, Liam, and Qley's 2 friends, Jess and Maya. I'm not going to lie, I was curious to see how this would play out. We all showed up on time, which felt weirdly formal. The first 10 minutes were pure tension. Everyone was overly polite, commenting on the weather and the food options. Then Maya, who'd had a few drinks already, just went for it. "Okay, can we just address the elephant in the room? This is insane. We're all here together like nothing's wrong." "Nothing is wrong," I said calmly. "We're all just on vacation." Qley, who'd been silent up to that point, put down her menu. Don't act like this is normal." "Why not?" I asked. "You said going on vacation with an ex is perfectly fine, that it's just about friendship and trust, so here we are. 2 couples of exes having dinner. What's abnormal about this?" "You know what you're doing," Qley said, her voice shaking. "You're trying to humiliate me." Nora spoke up. "Actually, I don't think Ryan's trying to humiliate anyone. I think he's making a point about fairness." "Who asked you?" Qley snapped. "Hey," I said, my voice firm. "Don't talk to her like that." "Oh, so now you're defending her?" "I'm defending basic respect, something you seem to forget when you posted that Instagram calling me toxic and controlling." Jess jumped in. "Okay, to be fair, Qley, that post was kind of a lot." Qley turned to her friend. "Whose side are you on?" "I'm not on anyone's side. I'm just saying maybe Ryan has a point. You wanted to come here with Liam, he didn't stop you. He just did the same thing. Is it petty? Maybe. But is it unfair?" "I don't think so." The waiter came to take our orders, which provided a brief respite. Once he left, Liam cleared his throat. "For what it's worth," he said, "I think you both could have handled this better. Qley, you should have considered Ryan's feelings before booking this trip. Ryan, you could have just broken up with her instead of doing this whole mirror thing. But here we all are, so maybe we can just enjoy our dinners and part ways civilly." It was actually a pretty reasonable take. I nodded. "Fair enough." Qley wasn't having it. "I can't believe you're all acting like I'm the bad guy here. I wanted to have a fun trip with friends." He turned it into this manipulative mind game. "You posted on Instagram calling him controlling before he'd even done anything," Maya pointed out. "That's not exactly mature either." I was expressing my feelings. To 40,000 followers, I said, you weaponized your platform against me instead of having a conversation. Because you wouldn't listen. I listened, I just disagreed. There's a difference. Nora, who'd been quietly sipping her margarita, leaned forward. Can I offer an outside perspective? Qley, from what Ryan told me, he didn't forbid you from going on this trip. He just said he was uncomfortable with it. That's not controlling, that's communicating a boundary. Boundaries are just another word for control, Qley muttered. No, Nora said firmly. Boundaries are about protecting yourself. Control is about limiting someone else. If Ryan had said you can't go, that would be control. Instead, he said, I'm uncomfortable, but it's your choice. Then when you went anyway, he exercised the same freedom. That's not control, that's symmetry. I could see Qley struggling to respond. She turned to me. So what, you brought a lawyer? She's a veterinarian, I said. But apparently she's also making more sense than anyone at this table. The food arrived and we ate in mostly silence. About halfway through the meal, Qley's phone buzzed. She looked at it and her face went pale. What? Jess asked. Someone tagged me in a post about this whole thing. Apparently, one of her followers had been at the resort and had seen all of us together. They'd posted about it and it was starting to make the rounds. The narrative wasn't sympathetic to Qley. Great, she said, standing up abruptly. Now I'm getting dragged online. Thanks for this, Ryan. I didn't post anything, I said. But maybe this is what happens when you build your brand on calling out toxic behavior and then display textbook double standards. She threw her napkin on the table and left. Jess ran after her. The rest of us finished our meal. After dinner, Liam and Maya headed back to check on Qley while Nora and I headed to the beach. So, she said, feeling any better about all this? You know what? Yeah. I think I needed to see this through to understand that the relationship was already over. The trip didn't end anything, it just made it obvious. You going to be okay? Eventually, but first I'm going to enjoy these last 2 days of vacation. And we did. We went parasailing, we did a cooking class, we explored the hotel. Meanwhile, Qley apparently stayed in her room most of the time, according to Maya, who'd text me updates. The social media thing was blowing up. More people at the resort had posted about seeing Instagram drama IRL, and Qley's followers were divided. Some were supporting her, saying I was manipulative, but a lot of them were pointing out the hypocrisy. Her follower count was dropping steadily. The last night there, I saw her one more time. She was alone at the main bar. Against my better judgment, I approached. Hey. She looked at me with red eyes. Hey, you okay? Do you care? Believe it or not, I do, she laughed bitterly. I've lost 3,000 followers in 3 days. People are calling me a hypocrite. My brand is tanking. I'm sorry about that. Are you? I'm sorry your brand was built on something that couldn't handle being tested, but I'm not sorry for what I did. She wiped her eyes. I loved you, you know. I loved you too. But love without respect doesn't work. So that's it, we're done. Yeah, we're done, she nodded slowly. I'll be out of the apartment by the time you get back. You don't have to rush. I want to. I left her there and went back to my room. The next morning, Nora and I flew home. Edit, we landed a few hours ago. Qley had indeed moved out most of her stuff. She left a note that just said goodbye. No apology, no explanation, just that. Final update. It's been about a week and a half since I got back from Mexico, and I figured I owed you all a final update since so many of you have been invested in this situation. First, the practical stuff. Qley moved out completely. She came by once while I was at work to get the last of her things. She left her key on the counter and that was that. The apartment feels different now, but not in a bad way. Quieter, definitely. I've been able to focus on work, hit the gym regularly, and honestly just decompress from what was apparently a pretty toxic situation that I'd normalized. Nora flew back to Colorado the day after we returned. We had coffee at the airport before her flight. She said, "That was the strangest vacation I've ever been on, but I'm glad I came." You needed a friend, even if you didn't know it. She was right. Having someone there who could see the situation objectively made me realize how much I'd been walking on eggshells with Qley. Always worried about her reactions, her content, her brand. Relationships shouldn't feel like managing a public relations crisis. About Qley's social media situation, it continued to spiral. She posted a long Instagram story about how some people will twist your narrative when they can't handle your growth. But the comments weren't buying it. Apparently, enough people had seen the Cancún situation firsthand or heard about it that her usual rhetoric wasn't landing. Her follower count dropped from 40K to about 32K last I checked. Yeah, I looked, sue me. Several smaller brands she had sponsorship deals with quietly stopped working with her. The whole independent woman brand she'd built was undermined by the fact that she couldn't handle someone applying her own standards back to her. Maya actually reached out to me earlier this week. She said Qley's been spiraling a bit, convinced that I ruined her life. Maya tried to point out that Qley's choices led to these consequences, but Qley wasn't hearing it. Apparently, she's in full victim mode now. The most interesting development came from Liam. He sent me a longer message a few days ago. Hey man, I wanted to apologize properly for my part in all this. When Qley invited me on that trip, she made it sound like you were totally fine with it, and that you guys had an open, trusting relationship where exes could be friends. She didn't mention that you'd expressed concerns. I feel like I got used as a prop in her narrative. I've known her for years, and I've seen her do this kind of thing before, twist situations to make herself look enlightened and anyone who disagrees look backward. I should have seen it coming. Anyway, you handled the whole thing with more class than most people would have. Hope you're doing all right. I appreciated that. It confirmed what I'd suspected, that Liam had been just as manipulated as I had been, just in a different way. As for me, I'm doing okay. Better than okay, actually. A few people have asked if I'd consider getting back together with Qley if she apologized. The answer is no. Not because of anger or resentment, but because I've seen who she really is when things don't go her way. She weaponized her platform against me, refused to acknowledge any double standard, and even now is painting herself as the victim rather than taking any accountability. That's not someone I can build a life with. Some of you asked about Nora. We're still friends, just like we were before. No romantic feelings rekindled or anything like that. She's great, but we're not compatible for the long term, same reasons we broke up 3 years ago. She did send me a care package though, which was sweet. It had fancy coffee, some Colorado hot sauce, and a card that said, "Thanks for the adventure. Same time next year." Made me laugh. I've deleted most of my social media apps. Kept Instagram but unfollowed Qley and muted her friends. I realized that whole world was exhausting, the constant need to project an image to perform your life for strangers. I'm good with just living it privately for a while. Last night Qley texted me for the first time since we got back. Just one message. "You won. Are you happy?" I thought about responding, but then I realized there was nothing to say. This was never about winning or losing. It was about respect and consistency. She still doesn't get it, and that's okay. I blocked her number, not out of anger, just finality. That chapter is closed. I'm doing well. The apartment is mine again, my life is mine again, and I'm genuinely excited about what comes next. And hey, at least I got a nice vacation out of it. Cancun really is beautiful this time of year.